What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and in today's video, I've got 6 of my best bets to share for NFL Week 4. But before we get into that, we have a giveaway on my last NFL video. I did ask you guys to pick the spread and the total for the game between the Cowboys and the Giants. Out of all the comments that we received, only 3 of you guys picked the Giants to cover and for the total to go under. So all names have been entered into the draw, and the winner is about to get a 3-month Outlier subscription. And the winner is L Mitchell 9064. Reach out to me on Twitter, Discord, or Instagram, and I'll get you set up with the Outlier subscription. I'm in the mood for some givens. I'll be doing another giveaway on this video. Now, being completely transparent with you guys, this channel, very small in comparison to others, but YouTube pays me about 20 Australian dollars per video. I'll happily transfer that money to whoever wins this giveaway. And all I need you to do is like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, then drop a number in the comment section letting me know which like number you are. For example, if there's already 10 likes on this video already, then you're the next person to like it. Put down the number 11 in the comment section. I'll reveal the winner when I do the Monday Night Football videos. So get them likes up and subscribe to win. Now let's get into these bets, shall we? Let's go. All right, so we're jumping in Outlier the way we always do. If you're interested in checking out Outlier, 7-day free trial in the video description below. Check out my last NFL video and you've got some strategies on how you can use it. But it's a really cool tool. You're honestly not going to be disappointed if you give it a try. So check it out, 7-day free trial, video description below. Now, our first pick, player that I want to talk through today, I'm looking at Jayden Reed from the Green Bay Packers. Where's my man at? Jayden Reed from the Green Bay Packers. And I'm looking at his receiving yards today. Over 47.5 receiving yards for Jayden Reed. Now, he's covered this in 2 out of 3 games this season, averaging 65 receiving yards per game. Now, he had 2 games against the Vikings last season, tore him up, 83 and 89 yards against the Vikings. But not only that, the Vikings, they allow the second most receiving yards to wide receivers this season. They've been getting absolutely cooked. And Jayden Reed is Aaron Rodgers' favorite target with a 21% target share. Now, the game script for this isn't ideal for receiving yards, although the Vikings are top 3 in rushing yards allowed to running backs. So I can see Rodgers needing to throw this ball and move up the field. Now, the Vikings, they also run a ton of zone coverage, and Jayden Reed absolutely crushes the zone with 7 yards per route run. Not only does he get targeted more, he gets those yards up against the zone. Now, wide receivers, they feasted on this Vikings secondary this season. Check these numbers out. Neighbors had 66 yards in week 1. Deebo Samuel had 110 yards in week 2. Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, they all covered their receiving lines and combined for 242 receiving yards in week 3. Give me Jayden Reed over 47.5. For the next pick, we're looking at Najee Harris, over 65.5 rushing yards. Now, not going to lie to you, I took this at 63.5 rushing yards when I sent this out to VIP, but 65.5, even though the line's been off a little bit, I still like the over here. Now, this Steelers defense is fantastic. Justin Fields, he's starting to show some improvement as well, and I think that they should get the lead in a low-scoring game. Harris is going to see a ton of work on the ground because the game script is appropriate for it. Now, both Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren were questionable for this game, but keeping in mind Najee Harris only missed Wednesday's practice to get some rest, while Warren actually has a knee injury. I'm expecting Harris to see a bigger workload than he has seen here against the Colts. Now, he's over this line in all 3 games this season, 70, 69, and 70 yards. He's also taking 51% of the rush attempts for this team, sharing the load with Jaylen Warren and also Justin Fields. Now, with Warren limited or possibly out and the Colts allowing the most yards to running backs and 4 yards per carry, I can see Harris running for well over 70 yards in this game. Now, Joe Mixon, he ran for 159 yards on 30 carries in week 1. Josh Jacobs, 151 yards on 32 carries in week 2. They did limit the Bears running backs to 50 yards on 21 carries. But the Colts, they were well in control of that game from the jump. Caleb Williams had 52 pass attempts in that game. This Steelers team is a run-heavy offense, and the game script suits. So Najee Harris over his rushing yards line. Next up, we're looking at Justice Hill, and I'm looking at his receiving yards line. I caught this at 13.5. It's moved up a little bit to 14.5, but hell, I didn't even take him for 25, I'm being honest with you. But Justice Hill, in 3 games this season, he's hit this line 2 out of the 3, getting 27 receiving yards per game. Now, I absolutely love this matchup here against the Bills. Firstly, the Bills playing out of their minds right now. They've had blowout wins 2 weeks in a row. I don't anticipate another blowout here, but the Ravens, they're not simply going to just run the ball at the middle of the field with Derrick Henry and win them the game. It's not going to work that way. The Bills allow the 11th fewest rushing yards to running backs this season. Now, when the Ravens have struggled to get yards on the ground, they've relied on Justin Hill receptions to get some. In week 1 against the Chiefs, he had 8 receptions and 52 yards. The following 2 games this season, the Ravens, they've been well in control of these games. They've just smashed the ground game with Henry. So Justice Hill only saw 2 targets in each of these games. Now, he's averaging 8 yards per reception in the 3 games, and his reception line is at 3 in this game at plus money, which the books believe he's probably going to finish on 2. Now, he's up against the Bills, and they allow the 3rd most receptions to running backs, 6 per game, and the 2nd most receiving yards to running backs with 54. Now, Hill is not their first choice running back, that's for sure. But Derrick Henry can't catch the ball to save his life, and if the Ravens are behind on the scoreboard, I can see Hill getting a ton of looks in this game. So I do love it. Over 14.5 receiving yards, and I'll let you know, I've also taken it for 25 yards as well. My next look, we're looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. over his receiving yards. I caught this at 66.5. It's up to about 70 at the moment, but regardless, I'd still be taking it. Now, I'm running this play back. I took Marvin Harrison last week against the Lions, and even though he didn't play very well, we did cash his over. Now, he's up against the Washington Commanders today, who've been playing better than most would have expected. I think there's huge upside given how bad the Commanders have been defending these explosive wide receivers. Now, this Commanders team, they're bottom 3 in receiving yards allowed to wide receivers, and they've invited 2 wide receivers into 100-yard club in the last 2 weeks. Last week, Ja'Marr Chase had 118 receiving yards on only 7 receptions, and the week before that, Malik Nabers had 127 yards on 10 receptions. Now, Marv has seen massive target volume in the past 2 weeks. Let me show you. 8 targets, 36% target share, 4 receptions, and 130 yards against the Rams. Then 11 targets, a 31% target share, 5 receptions, and 64 yards against the Detroit Lions, who shut the Cardinals down. I don't see the Commanders doing the same thing this week. And I think Marvin, I think he can see himself joining that 100-yard club, given how great this matchup is. So I do like Marvin's over, and I also like him to get 100. Now, given how good this matchup is, I also do like him to get a touchdown this week, and it's a plus money play, so that even gets me more excited. He's had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. This Washington team, they allow the most touchdowns to wide receivers at 3 per game. So they had 4 touchdowns to receivers in week 1 against Tampa, 2 against the Giants, and then last week they had 3 against Burrow and the Bengals. Kyler Murray's passing touchdown prop at 1.5, it's juiced to minus 140 to the over. So the books are favoring to throw at least 2 passing touchdowns in this game. Now, Murray, he's thrown for 5 passing touchdowns this season, and Marvin Harrison, he's been on the receiving end of 3 of them. To get this at plus money is an absolute steal. So take Marvin Harrison to go over his receiving yards, and also take him to get a touchdown as well. Pumping the brakes real quick to remind you about my partners, Boom Fantasy, Rebet, Dabble Fantasy, and Chalkboard. Now, keeping it straight up with you, all of these apps pay me a small amount of money for anyone who signs up and deposits for the first time. I don't partner up with companies like Bet365 or BetMGM because these guys will only pay me if you guys sign up and lose. I'm all about helping you guys win, and if you can help me earn a little side hustle money, it brings me one step closer to being able to do this full time and create more and more content for you guys. Now, the link for these guys are in the description below. For anyone that signs up with them and makes their first deposit, I'll even give you a month of my VIP picks for free. You can win as much money as you can with all my bets, and then you never have to pay me a cent if it's not your vibe. Now, reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, or Discord if you sign up with any of these apps, and I'll get you straight into VIP. And let's get back to these picks, shall we? The next pick is for Bo Nix to go over 31.5 pass attempts. Now, if you bet on Bo Nix and his passing attempts over the first 3 weeks of this season, you'd be laughing right now. He's easily cleared this number in all 3 games, averaging 37 attempts per game. Now, I bet on Bo last week, and I'm running him back again. He's got a tough matchup here against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, and the game script here is perfect. At the same time, I'm not too concerned with the game script as the Broncos can't run the ball for shit, and even if they have the lead, Bo's going to be throwing this ball anyway. Look at last week as an example. Last week, the Broncos hammered Tampa Bay, and Bo, he almost hit this number by half time. The Broncos, their running backs average less than 3 yards per carry this season, so I do expect to see Bo continue to air this shit out. Win or lose, he's going to be throwing the hell out of this football. So I do like him over 31.5 passing attempts. And my last pick to share with you guys is for George Pickens. Looking at over 52.5 receiving yards. I caught it at 50.5, but the 52.5 doesn't bother me either. Now, George, he's covered this line in 2 out of the 3 games this season, averaging 57 receiving yards per game. His matchup here is excellent with the Colts, who've been trash on the defensive side of the ball. They allow the 8th most receiving yards to wide receivers, and they were torn apart last week by the Bears. DJ Moore had 78 yards, Odunze had 112 yards, and Cole Kmet had the game of his life with 97 yards. What's worse for the Colts is that their best cornerback, Kenny Moore, he's been ruled out due to injury. Now, George Pickens has a 25% target share this season, and Fields, he's starting to look better each and every week. Yes, this Steelers team is going to run the ball more often than not, but when they air it out, George Pickens is going to be the number 1 target, and he's got an excellent matchup in this game. So I do like George Pickens to cover his receiving line as well. Be sure to like and subscribe. We're almost at 10,000. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.